tired of the mainstream media lying to you every single day, you are not alone. Millions of other Americans are sick of the corporate media fake news of the MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, other Times, Washington Post, Political. Every single one of them are in the bag for the Democrats. They are all Team DNC. But now you have another option in independent creators like here on the CASHLOREN show. Well, we will go and we will expose the deep state, these unelected bureaucrats, and the mainstream media, along with the Democrats and their friends in the Rhino Uniparty, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Get the facts on the CASHLOREN show. I am your host, America's Truth Teller, shining a bright red light on the corruption and the hoaxes from the mainstream media and the Democrat Party. You're not going to want to miss a single moment. Join the American First Movement Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the CASHLOREN show.
In 2025, we find ourselves in a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage on all three of the major networks, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service, it's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Okay, there we go. See if I can hit the right buttons. Welcome back, everybody, as we get into a Monday through another weekend, and Donald Trump has shown the world again how when we put America first, we can win. And it doesn't take boots on the ground, and it doesn't take regime change. All it apparently takes is 30,000-pound bombs dropping on a nuclear facility before the opposition turns around and says, maybe this isn't what we want. Maybe if U.S. is actually putting their interests first, maybe we should take a step back and sue for peace, just like Iran has done with Israel. And yet all the panickers again making all the same rhetoric they always did, how Donald Trump is putting us at risk. And Donald Trump, should have consulted us. Like somehow Donald Trump is not the commander-in-chief that you voted for. But he is proven to be right again. And in my mind, Donald Trump has been the most transparent president we've ever had. I mean, he flat out ran on all of this. And Donald Trump, including, which is very rare, is we had a separation between his first term and his second term. So when all of you voted for him, you saw what it was like with Donald Trump already in office, and then what it was like when the Democrats came back. It's not like going from Reagan, Bush to Bill Clinton. As an example, right? You saw the difference. And this has led to where Donald Trump had over 77 million votes from you, the American people, to do exactly what he's doing now, right? To bring peace through strength. And all the normal panicans, oh, he's going to drop bombs. He's starting World War III. All this terrible stuff is going to happen. America's at risk. When America is really at risk because of the decisions that Obama and Biden made, and now Donald Trump has to clean it up. And now we're at that point where we can go back, we can say, look, here we are. Okay, Iran ignored Trump, and we're going to go through, and they found out now more than ever why Donald Trump is the American president that we need now more than ever. As I got rid of my slides here, and so Donald Trump, when he came into office, one of his first things that he did as part of the original his administration is that he went and he promised that he would bring peace to the Middle East, just like he promised he'd bring peace back to Ukraine and peace back to he'd bring peace back to the Middle East. And why some of it's taken longer than others thought it would, what he has been proving over and over again is that when you show strength, that's when they fall back, right? Even with its non-war issues like China, he stood up and he did our tariffs and all the normal uniparty, right? The Rand Pauls of the world, right? Whoa, you can't do that. You cannot threaten China and all the other nations with tariffs, that's going to destroy our economy. But it turned out the opposite was true yet again. Same thing here. Donald Trump warned them. He gave them 60 days. They ignored him, and now they're finding out. What we have from Trump here is he posted on Truth Social, he posted, "Congratulations to everyone. It has been a fully agreed upon between Israel and Iran that there will be complete and total ceasefire. In approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed in their progress final missions for 12 hours, at what point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and on the 24th hour, the official end to the 12-day war will be over." I mean, how can you not say that Trump is right again? This is essentially the Abraham Accords all over again. When Barack Obama gave Iran billions of dollars and they weaponized, right, and started moving towards a nuclear program. And then you have Joe Biden. He too also gave Iran billions of dollars in their humanitarian aid, but it was never allowed for you or anybody else to look and see where all that money was actually going. Right? Then October 7th happens, and all of a sudden all these terrorist events start happening. And next thing you know, we're on the verge of World War III. Let's not forget what it was like just a few months ago when Joe Biden was leaving office. Right? Russia was already in Ukraine. That didn't happen when Trump was there. You had Iran openly threatening our enemies, and now you had more and more breakouts that we're getting on the verge of World War III every single day. People were wondering if we're going to wake up today, and is this going to be the day? Under the Bidens and the Democrats, who always want to placate and show weakness. However, Donald Trump is nothing but not strong. And greetings, folks. Welcome back to the Cash Loren Show. It's great to be here with you again, where I've been proven right 98% of the time. The other 2%, I asked my wife for her opinion. It's a lesson that I'm learning and slowly. I'm nothing if not stubborn. But Donald Trump, when he started this negotiations, when he came into office, he was walking in on the verge of World War III. And as the Democrats try to blame everything on Trump, make no mistake, this was Biden's weakness and incompetence that caused all of this. We go back 4 years, Iran was broke. Right? Russia was not invading Ukraine. This was all happening under Joe Biden. Now Donald Trump has come back again to make things right. And he has a huge mess on his hands. I mean, nobody doubt this for a second. Not only do we have the foreign crisis, but we also have the at-home crisis when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris let in tens of millions of people into this country and didn't vet or question any of them. And now we have no idea who these people are in our country and what they want to do. I mean, are they building a bomb right now for Iran? Hopefully our FBI, and now that our border patrol and all this is very on top of this, because there's very likely there's sleeper cells right here just because Joe Biden let them in without asking any questions. So Trump gave 60 days to negotiate a peace. And this is Donald Trump. One of his very great things about Donald Trump is he does actually want peace. He's not like the others who say they want peace, but then everything they do is to bring war. Donald Trump is the exact opposite, and God bless him. So he gave Iran 60 days. And Iran, I think, used to just a U.S. that shows weakness, right, that caves every time, instead just ignored Donald Trump. On the 61st day, Israel attacked Iran, and they started shooting missiles back and forth. Now, I'm old enough to remember Iraq, and I'm old enough to remember the weapons of mass destruction that justified the Iraq war and over $2 trillion and all the Americans who died. But I don't think this is like this time. And I don't know full well how far along that Iran was or was not with their nuclear program. I do believe Donald Trump, and I believe they're very close. And we're going to play a clip here in a moment with Secretary of State Marco Rubio as he talks to fake news, as they try to justify, as the fake news always does, it's putting America last. And instead, that we should have just placated Iran. We shouldn't have attacked Iran. But Donald Trump truly believed, and this is the one thing where I say with Donald Trump, he has been the most transparent president that we have ever had, because he telegraphed this for decades. He has always said and never wavered for one moment that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And with that, I agree. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, or they will use it. They have said over and over and over again that their death to America, that they want to obliterate Israel. And what better way to do that than that they have a nuclear warhead that they can then deliver? Well, those missiles that got through one of their air defenses actually made it through, and it was a nuclear warhead. There would be no more Israel. And Iran and all the others would praise that. This is why they can never have it, and why Obama and Biden never should have given Iran billions of dollars, but yet it's too late. Here we are. So now the next question is, how do we move forward? And Donald Trump gave the answer, warned them 60 days. They ignored him. And then out of all the things that happened over this weekend, one of the things that I find most remarkable is that none of this was leaked. Right? I mean, Pete Hegseth ran a very, very tight ship and kept this a complete secret from everybody, including fake news and including the Democrats. I mean, virtually no one knew until after the bombs had already dropped and the B-2 bombers were on the way back. And then we find out that missiles were shot from subs from over 400 miles away, hitting their targets perfectly. I mean, Iran didn't even get a shot off. This is how superior our military is to theirs. Now that their 3 nuclear military complexes have been completely and utterly obliterated, and even fake news is trying to minimize that and saying that that's not even what happened either. And if you also support Donald Trump, take a moment, hit the like, make sure you're following, but most importantly, share and repost this and help us spread an American first message from our space in the spare bedroom all throughout the United States and abroad. You have through all this history, especially through my lifetime, where we basically had 2 choices on foreign policy. Here we had the one choice with the Democrats you saw through Biden and Obama, where they were always looking at America as America was last, and how America was evil, and how America needed to be brought down to its knees. So therefore, because America was so bad, that then we had to bring America down and build our enemies up, because it was only fair, right, to put America last. And we've seen the fruits of that labor. The other side was the neocon side, who wanted forever wars and wanted these war pigs to shoot missiles at everything forever and then have boots on the ground and do regime change over and over and over again. Yet we've seen how that failed and that they changed nothing. These are the same people that thought that the reason that the Vietnam ended the way it was is because we just didn't stay there long enough. Yeah, this is the exact same people there. Or who, I don't know, who think we should still be fighting in Iraq endlessly with our military, in Afghanistan. I mean, why not everywhere else in the Middle East? That's the way that these people think. And Donald Trump doesn't think that way. See, it's not a binary answer. It's not one or the other. There is another option. There is the Trump option. There's also the ones like Ronald Reagan, as he called this, that we would have, Donald Trump called it America first. And this is his foreign policy, that we don't have to invade countries over and over again. Right? And Ronald Reagan called it peace through strength. And while they use different terms, it's virtually the same thing. If we can use our strength, we first use diplomacy to tear down this wall, and the wall that was never going to be torn down was torn down. But sometimes you do need to use our military force. And I never forget this moment when Donald Trump, when he's being asked by a reporter, what are you going to do about Iran? And Donald Trump, he just looked very upset because he doesn't want this war. He doesn't want to drop bombs. This is where Donald Trump is very different than many other presidents and these neocon warmongers like Graham. is that he actually does want peace in the Middle East. See, Donald Trump, he's not even a conservative. I mean, he's a populist. He's a billionaire that loves people. And I can just about guarantee you that Donald Trump doesn't want to be a Republican. I mean, he was a New York Democrat his entire life until he ran for presidency. But him, like many other Americans, like probably you listening, I mean, how many of you used to agree with the Democrat Party? I mean, are you listening now? Are you one of those that used to think, well, I'm more liberal social issues, but I'm more conservative on, you know, the government issues, right? Society. That's probably most of America. But as the Democrats have pushed further and further to the left, more and more Americans have find themselves abandoned in the middle, just like Donald Trump did, just like Elon Musk did, just like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK and all the others that would have been on the Democrat side, but the Democrats pushed them all to our side. Because people can't go along with this. They can't go along with our country being invaded. They can't watch these virtual World War IIIs that we're on the cusp of. I mean, now somebody push a button and there's no more human race. It's not an ending of a country anymore. There are no more humans left on this planet. That's how powerful these nuclear weapons are. They've also been the greatest deterrent into stopping another world war, while we have an entire generation that doesn't know what it's like. Now, those nuclear weapons, they must stay in their silos, and the people who should never have them must never have them, people like Iran. And so the fake news, as we're getting into here, they continue to lie about the American First policy and about Iran was because they are they are for the Democrats, including MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, LA Times, Washington Post. Every single one of them are on the team Democrat. They are all in the bag for the DNC. And they didn't want these nuclear programs to be stopped because they, just like Obama, just like Biden, believe that America should be last. And so when Obama and Biden, when they lie and they talk about canceling nuclear programs or they talk about humanitarian aid, none of that is true. Do not ever doubt me for a single second. They wanted Iran to be a superpower. To be a superpower, you have to have a nuclear weapon. The two now go hand in hand. Because if Iran, right, if they had a nuclear weapon, then Donald Trump and the United States, they couldn't drop bombs on the nuclear program because you're risking and then explosions. This is why the superpowers have not fought each other for such a long time. So the fake news in the bag for the Democrats are trying to lie about this public intel thing, just like 51 experts said for the Hunter Biden, right? None of you trust the experts of fake news anymore. It's for lying like this. It's this public assessment that's trying to say that Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon or wasn't close, which is absolutely hogwash. Everyone, including them, knows it. And so does our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, as he embarrasses fake news yet again.
March assessment. And that's why I was asking you if you know something more from March.
But that's also an inaccurate representation of it. That's an accurate representation of it. That's not how intelligence is read. That's not how intelligence is used. Here's what the whole world knows. Forget about intelligence. What the IAEA knows. They are enriching uranium well beyond anything you need for a civil nuclear program. So why would you enrich uranium at 60%? Right. If you don't intend to one day use it to take it to 90 and build a weapon. Right. Why are you developing ICBMs? Why do you have 8,000 short-range missiles and 2,000 to 3,000 long mid-range missiles that you continue to develop? Why do you do all these things? They have everything they need for a nuclear weapon. They have the delivery mechanisms. They have the enrichment capability. They have the highly enriched uranium that is stored. Yes. That's all we need to see.
Right.
Yeah, right. She even gets it at the end there, but Marco Rubio has to walk her through it because the fake news hates our country just as much as the Democrats do. They never ever doubt that for a second. These are not journalists. These are Democrat activists who sit in front of a camera and pretend to be neutral journalists, but they are none of those things. They are in the bag for the DNC. As we've shown over and over again, and that's why shows like this are growing at exponential rates and why fake news is tanking. It's because people just want the truth. And fake news, they've never looked at themselves that way. They've never looked at themselves as their job to tell the news. They look at themselves as their job to tell you how to think, because they are the liberal elite. They have Ivy League degrees. They're smarter than you. They're better than you in every single way. I mean, they shouldn't have to explain themselves to you. They are the liberal elite, high above you in their lofty ivory towers. Who are you to question them? Okay, that's the way they think, and they just find it repugnant that they even have to explain themselves to you. But it is their job, as they think, is essentially influence. That's not even what they are. Is they are propagandists. They are liars to the Democrats. And so they'll do things like she just did right there. Well, they'll talk about this public intel letter, which is BS in the first place. But two, they try to pretend like because some experts who have been wrong all the time write another letter. All of a sudden, that Donald Trump's entire administration should be based around this public letter. And then Rubio has to educate her. Okay, they're enriching uranium. Okay, they are building short-range and long-range missiles under the guise of a space program, but they're not going to the moon. They're building now delivery mechanisms for nuclear warheads. 100%, that's what Iran was doing. They forced Trump's hand. And Trump had to make the decision. And he made the correct one. He ended the nuclear program in Iran. Now, Iran, they go today, and they had to do the same thing that they did back in 2020 before Trump left office, where they did this kind of, I'm trying to think of the right words. I almost want to say hoax, but it wasn't really a hoax. They shot a couple missiles, and nothing hit ground. It's essentially exactly what they did today. Is we had the air raids, but the thing is, they warned Quaidar, and they warned our bases, and they made extra sure that no U.S. troops were going to be hurt. They shot some missiles. This was a simple face-saving, right? So they can then say that they retaliated, and their propagandists over their own state media can talk about how good of a job Iran did, and now they can issue peace. We won. We won a huge victory today. And why I didn't win with Russia and Ukraine in 24 hours, because Biden escalated that, and that's a subject for a different day. Okay, we are gaining now peace through strength, just like Donald Trump promised before. You know that I am way over a break. My clock is beeping at me all kinds of angry red. So we'll be right back after this. We have a lot more to talk to you. You're not going to miss it. This is the Cash Loren Show.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2025, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage on all 3 of the major networks, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Folks, have you wanted to start a podcast but you just don't know where to begin? Podbeam is your all-in-one solution to host your podcast and distribute it all across the internet. With my code on the affiliate link down below, you will gain also 1 month free to try the Podbeam service. This is really your one-stop solution to hosting your podcast. Record it, you put it up to just a single upload. Then that upload will distribute to all of the main platforms all across the internet, including Apple and Spotify and many, many others. It will then also automatically share your podcast across all major social media, making your job easier so you can spend more time recording the podcast that you love and less time managing them on the back end. Podbeam is your all-in-one solution for your podcast needs. Click on the link below, the CASHLOREN, and get your 1 free month today. If you are watching this show, then you are probably sick and tired of the corporate media we call fake news lying to you every single day. You are not alone. This has caused many citizen journalism, as much as I hate to say the J word, that's really what we're doing, is exposing the fake news networks and the corrupt government every day without the filter of the corporate media deciding what you can and cannot know. Many of us make these videos with the extra room that we have in our houses, just like I am here in our spare bedroom. But making these is not free. We have families to feed as well. If you are enjoying this content, then it will always be free, and I thank you for your support. But if you want to help monetarily, there is a great way to do that on Locals. Click on the link below, sign up for our different tiered programs, and we will have additional content for you based on the level that you sign up for, including being thanked in the end of videos every single day. Take a moment, if you enjoy this content, and sign up for the monetary support and help us stay on air and offer you more benefits, such as more shows and better production. So sign up for today at Locals and support the citizen journalisms and help us get past the fake news networks. Folks, I cannot tell you how big of a deal this is. The fact that Donald Trump, in just over a weekend, after warning Iran for over 60 days, a problem that nobody else could have solved. Now, imagine if Cackles, Kamala Harris, had been in the White House right now. Iran would have a nuclear weapon. Or Joe Biden was still sleeping in the closet, not able to find his way out. We needed America to be put first again. And this is the only way to do it. As Donald Trump tried first, just like his patients did, as he said no to doing boots on the ground. I mean, think about all this for a moment. All the things that he was able to accomplish, all in a single stroke that I don't know of any other politician here in the United States could have done. Okay, he had no troops on the ground. He had no regime change. Not another forever war, not more wars in the Middle East. None of that happened. He warned Iran. Iran ignored him. So he was forced, like he always said, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. See, this is peace through strength. And when they ignored him and then they pushed his hand, he realized how close they were. The bombs dropped, the 3 places exploded, and now Iran is suing for peace. This is the only way it works, folks. This is the only way to do it. This whole idea that Democrats have of putting America last doesn't work. And then the neocons wanting to take our country and put us in forever wars to make themselves rich while your sons and your daughters go into foreign lands and bleed and die so they can get filthy rich and they can have another regime change and another 100 or 1,000-year war. None of those are good options. And we've been lied to through the Uniparty when the neocons have had control of the Republican Party for the last 30 years. That there wasn't the third option. Okay, MAGA is the third option. America first is the third option. Peace through strength is the third option. However you want to call it, that's how we solve these problems. So welcome back again, folks. I am your host, CASHLOREN. We're just using just the right side of my brain to defeat the left just to make it fair. And part of defeating the left is now that they have had to take another big L today as SCOTUS ruled 6-3, the immigration that now these illegal immigrants that should never come to this country in the first place can now be deported, but it doesn't just have to be to their home. They can now be deported to third countries. So all this nonsense about that, all this due process that these judges suddenly made up. It was weird when Biden was allowing tens of millions of people into our country. I mean, where were the judges in the due process then? We never heard a word for them. Or what about when Barack Hussein Obama, when he deported 3 million illegal immigrants? Where were the judges? Where were their injunctions? Right? Where were this due process then? You see, if you come into our country illegally, being arrested and being deported is the due process. And it doesn't matter if you've been here for 1 day or 10 years. And it doesn't matter if you were even what they call not a criminal, because when you came to this country, you were a criminal, and being deported is the consequence of your crime. So come in the legal way and come in the right way, and that's the only way to do it. And while I agree with many others that our immigration system, that it needs to be overdone, and it needs a lot of improvements, I think that is something that most of us can agree on. However, before we can get there, we must stop the illegal invasion of our country. This is just like a patient coming into the hospital, right? You stop the bleeding first, and then once you have them stable, then you move past that. This is the same problem. Our country is being invaded. We don't know who's here. Now, as we spent the whole first segment about talking about Iran and the illegal invasion of our country, we don't know how many Iranians have come here or how many Middle Easterns have come here, and who knows what they want to do to our country. I mean, are they planning another September 11th right now? I certainly know that our FBI is very concerned about it, and our Border Patrol is watching that closely. And they just stopped a boat that had a bunch of Iranians in it that tried to come to our country this week. Who knows what their plans were for our country? Probably not good. This is why we have to have borders. This is why we do want immigration, but it must be legal. And then when the legal immigration is legal, they can then come here and they can come to be our way of life. We don't become Mexico and we don't become Palestine. We are the United States of America, period. That is it. We are the West. We fly the American flag. We speak English. We love this country because it is the greatest country this world has ever known. You notice how all the Democrats who all pretend to hate their country, how this country is so bad, yet none of them ever actually leave. Why is that, do you think? Because they understand, as much as they don't want to admit it, that America is exceptional. And here, the truth still stands to this day, that you have the right to pursue happiness. And you might not be happy, you're not guaranteed happiness, but you're guaranteed the right to pursue it. See, that's the big difference here. That's the difference. That's our freedoms. And if we can never give up those freedoms, the Democrats, when they couldn't convince you to give up your freedoms, they then opened our borders and allowed an illegal invasion into our country and tried to take her by force. They facilitated the illegal invasion of our country. Never ever doubt that for a single second. Don't ever forget the last 4 years when Mayorkas and Biden and Kamala all lied to you when our border was wide open and tens of millions of unvetted people came to this country. Just last month, under Biden, when he was in administration, they let in over 63,000 people into our country. But under Trump's administration, zero catch and releases. See, this is the difference. What we proved when Biden and Kamala, when they were lying about their border bill, when it was really an amnesty bill, we didn't need a border because we didn't need a new border bill because we already had the laws. What we needed was a new president. Promises made and promises kept. And now this leads to the 6-3 win from SCOTUS finally, as they've been moving incredibly slow and they don't have to. They can end this rogue coup from these activist judges today. As Kristi Noem, the DHS secretary, she called this a victory for America. And she is right. See, our side loves our country. Come here, America. Kamala Harris, with all her fake virtue signaling, says this tears families apart. Well, yeah. I mean, if you come here illegally, right, the due process is you are deported. You don't just get to come in this country and suddenly start making families. And to give you some really good advice, which any mother or father should give to their child, is you don't marry an illegal immigrant. because they're here illegal and they risk being deported. Right? Don't build a life with them. Just the same way if I tell my daughter, right, don't marry someone who's in prison, or don't marry someone who's committing felonies, because sooner or later they're going to get caught and they're going to go to prison and you're going to be fatherless or motherless, being a single parent. It's the exact same lying from the left, where they try to pretend that they're all virtuous and they're all about this morality and how they actually care about human rights, when none of that is true. Okay, where are the rights of the American citizens? Where's Riley Gaines? Not Riley. Where is Laken Riley's rights? Hey, where's all the Americans who have lost their lives to illegal immigrants? Where's all the rights of Americans who have suffered from the illegal invasion of our country? How about all of your tax dollars that were spent on these illegal immigrants to the tunes of billions and billions of dollars that you never gave the okay to? Okay, what about all of your rights there? You see, that's how fake the Democrats' hoaxes are. Is they don't care about human rights. They don't care about equality. They don't care about humanity. All they care about was illegally importing voters because they knew you were not going to vote for them anymore. It really is that simple. There's nothing complicated about this. This was illegally voting, illegally bringing immigrants here so they could vote in our elections, either now or later. As the Democrats, when they're honest, they stop lying for a second, how they talk about a pathway to citizenship. Or when you find out about the census that determines House seats, is that's just a head count. But when you get counted in a census, you don't have to prove that you're an American citizen. That is literally an illegal influence, foreign influence on our elections. And then now they're trying to abuse the 14th Amendment and the birthright citizenship to say that babies that are born here illegally are now all of a sudden legal citizens. That was never meant to be the way that it was meant to be used. They all know it. So MSNBC and CNN and all the other fake news networks, they can talk about a human rights crisis, but this is why they're dying. This is why the mainstream media has lost all their influence. This is why the Democrats are all the way down to 17%, because no one buys this garbage, because when they don't care about you. It's all fake virtue signaling. As slow as SCOTUS was, they finally made the right decision. And then you also have AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's pretending she's doing her next fake virtue signaling with another illegal immigrant that some rogue judge decided to release, the one that led to all the problems here on Columbia and other universities. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back after this greedy profit break. This is the CASHLOREN Show.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2025, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage on all 3 of the major networks, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Folks, have you wanted to start a podcast but you just don't know where to begin? Podbeam is your all-in-one solution to host your podcast and distribute it all across the internet. With my code on the affiliate link down below, you will gain also 1 month free to try the Podbeam service. This is really your one-stop solution to hosting your podcast. Record it, you put it up to just a single upload. Then that upload will distribute to all of the main platforms all across the internet, including Apple and Spotify and many, many others. It will then also automatically share your podcast across all major social media, making your job easier so you can spend more time recording the podcasts that you love and less time managing them on the back end. Podbeam is your all-in-one solution for your podcast needs. Click on the link below, the CASHLOREN, and get your 1 free month today. If you are watching this show, then you are probably sick and tired of the corporate media we call fake news lying to you every single day. You are not alone. This has caused many citizen journalism, as much as I hate to say the J word, that's really what we're doing, is exposing the fake news networks and the corrupt government every day without the filter of the corporate media deciding what you can and cannot know. Many of us make these videos with the extra room that we have in our houses, just like I am here in our spare bedroom. But making these is not free. We have families to feed as well. If you are enjoying this content, then it will always be free, and I thank you for your support. But if you want to help monetarily, there is a great way to do that on Locals. Click on the link below, sign up for our different tiered programs, and we will have additional content for you based on the level that you sign up for, including being thanked in the end of videos every single day. Take a moment, if you enjoy this content, and sign up for the monetary support and help us stay on air and offer you more benefits, such as more shows and better production. So sign up for today at Locals and support the citizen journalisms and help us get past the fake news networks. Well, the Democrats love the fake virtue signal, this time for illegal immigrants, as they try to bring them to this country illegally and then pretend that somehow that they're moral and just and they're right. The Democrats, and this goes into AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who sits there and brags because some rogue activist judge released Mohammed Khalihir back into the United States, as he was correctly arrested and set to be deported, as he is not a U.S. citizen. When we talk about visas or green cards, or to come here for school or come here for work, when you are not a U.S. citizen, okay, those are not rights. Those are by the being gracious of the United States of America. It is a privilege to come to the greatest country this world has ever known. And he took that privilege and he started and he led unto Columbia and what spread elsewhere on these colleges, these Marxist attempts to take over the United States. And you saw these Palestinian flags, them taking over buildings, denying Jewish kids entries into universities they had paid for. And these weak professors did absolutely nothing, or none of these administrators whatsoever. They're not here to be a part of our country. Then they're not here to assimilate to our way of life. They're here to try to corrupt it and force us into Palestine or Mexico. But we are none of those things. We are the United States of America. You know, and if the Middle East is so great, then go be there. But stop coming here and telling us that we need to somehow give up our freedoms for your way of life. Yeah, that's exactly what he did. And you notice how people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she never has any fake virtues feelings for her own constituents or the Americans who suffer because of the illegal invasion of our country. Yeah, I don't remember AOC crying a single tear for any of the Jewish kids who weren't allowed to go to school because the people that Muhammad led were not allowed to go into their classrooms. See, this is the main way that liberalism activates. It is the first thing they try to do is liberalism tries to progress through activism. They essentially try to bully people into just giving up and submitting and giving the Democrats what they want. That is the first and most way that they do it. They'll grab their little signs, and something about the signs from it. Do you notice how new they are? I mean, how they all match, how they all seem to kind of drum together and sing the same songs. I mean, I don't know who's orchestrating all this, but I know that ever since USAID has been shut off, and these NGOs are starting to run out of money, all of a sudden these protests aren't as big as they used to be. They're essentially just boomers now for the most part. I find that a little strange. Was our tax dollars funding liberalism against our own country? That's something that hopefully the FBI and the DOJ look very deeply into very, very soon. And Doge helps expose where all of our tax dollars were actually going into who. Because that's how liberals advance the Democrat progressiveness. Is through that bullying, right? So they'll go in like these, they rely essentially on kids, and they try to get them to march and chant, and they really want them to get mad and angry. So that's the most key thing here through activism. You have to be enraged, and it works over and over and over again. Because the moment somebody is rational, and the moment you talk to them, all of a sudden liberalism doesn't make sense. I mean, it's not that hard to destroy everything that the Democrats are trying to push with just rational thought. And they know that. And so that's why they turn into little sheep. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. That's the Democrats' platform. They got to get you together, get you mad, get you raging, get the drums going, right? The war beats pumping, and then marching and screaming like maniacs. Blue hairs, tattoos, all of it. And then people just, I don't want this problem. And so what they're hoping for is then that the most America, because they're a tiny little fraction, just decides, I don't want this fight. Fine, just have it. I give up. You can just, okay, this isn't worth fighting for. I have a job. I have kids. I have a husband or a wife. I don't have time for this. So fine, just take it. Let me go about my life. You go do you over there, and I will go do me. Of course, it never stops there, because the Democrats, just like any virus, they want more and more and more and more. And every time that they take an L and they lose, like they should, they freak out and they show you who they really are, which is really the reason why it's so important that we must fight back. Legally and patriotically, but we must fight back, because when we do, we expose the Democrats for who they really are. And they might want to call themselves liberals, and they might want to say they're progressive, or they might want to use socialism or liberalism, progressivism, all the other isms. That's all a mask for what they really are. Communists. They want to take away your constitution, and they want to force you to be under their rule. And if they have to illegally import millions and millions of people in this country, well then, that's just par for the course. The ends justify the means. It always does in Marxism, which is the center of the Democrats, the way they look at life, right? When they talk about equity instead of equality, they then go to say, we're right. They just decide that they're morally right and they're morally superior because they have Ivy League degrees. So they start there, and then anything that supports that opinion, they scream it from the top of the rooftops. But of course, everything that doesn't support that opinion, they try to shut you up. That's why it's so important for them to call you a racist or a bigot or a homophobe or a transphobe, a white nationalist. They don't believe any of that, nor do they even care. What it really means when they call you any of those things is they just need you to shut up and give them what they want, because they know that they cannot get it through rational thought and through conversation. When they talk about misinformation or disinformation or hate speech or any of the others, it's none of that. It's all about them silencing truth that they do not like. And they decide that they're going to die on this hill here, which is amazing, because the Democrats are on the wrong side of every single 80-20 issue. So let's get into Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's quotes. This is talking about Muhammad Khalili, a legal U.S. resident. Okay, no, he's not. So this is how they try to twist the words. This is at one point, he was here legally, but we said, all right, this is a privilege to be here. It's not a right. He is not a U.S. citizen. What did I hear one say? I'm trying to remember what they called it now. They called it undocumented citizen, I think was the word they made up for this. Okay, but he can be revoked and sent home, especially if he's abusing his visa, like he's calling for the overthrow of the American government would be a very good reason to kick him out of our country. And then illegally kidnapped by ICE. Again, not true. He was arrested. See, again, the left thinks that they can just make up words, and they wonder why they're at 20% or 17%. Because arresting a criminal is not kidnapping. I'm afraid to tell the brilliant genius Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. That is not how this works. You don't get to just decide that illegal immigrants can't be arrested. And the administration is attempting to criminalize free speech as terrorism. I think calling for the overthrow of the U.S. government would be terrorism. And when you see these people come here and they wave Palestinian flags and they want the ending of Israel and the ending of the West, I mean, that is what they're openly causing for. Yeah, I would call that domestic terrorism. I mean, facts don't care about your feelings, as many like to say. We should not assist them. Okay, AOC, you know what? Try to impede law enforcement and watch what happens. I'd love to see her get arrested. For the Democrats to find out they're no longer above the law. And then on her next post, so this is a couple hours later, she goes in, this is responding to the RNC research. Radical Democrat Representative AOC proudly escorts Hamas supporter Mohammed Khalid back to the New York City. So again, the Democrats choosing not to stand with American citizens, but illegal immigrant alien criminals. As much as the Democrats, they hate American citizens, they love illegal criminals. I wonder why that is. And then she responds, you kidnapped the man off the street because you didn't like his speech. Again, blatantly lying, that's not what happened. And she found the Democrats found some rogue activist judge again, who just decides to swipe a pin that they now set foreign policy for the United States. Threw him in a jail cell 404 days. Okay, I believe he had a deportation order. I think was his visa. I'll have to find that. Ignored court orders. No, they didn't. And denied relief so he could listen to his wife's birth of a child over a phone. Again, this is what happens when you break the law, you go to prison. But the Democrats, they just think, we can just make up words. We can make up sayings. We can just kind of make up anything we want. And all of a sudden, because we said it, then it must be true. Even if it's not true in one bit. The Democrats, they are Marxist communists. There really is no other way to say it. I think some, maybe even like AOC, believe so blindly that they are morally just that it doesn't matter what crimes they commit or what they do to harm American citizens, because they see themselves as morally superior. That they are born to rule over you. Their Ivy League degrees say that they are just. And if they are just, well, then anything they do to get the means, to get to the ends, well, then that's justified because they are morally right. You see how sick and twisted the Democrats' leftist ideology is. And this is why they try to shut up opposition, because then you go, well, what's legal? Right? If someone enters this country legally, that's legal, okay. What if someone enters this country illegally? And I was like, whoa, that's racist and you're a bigot and you're just trying to deport brown people. See how they twist it really quick. Essentially, they try to call you names immediately to shut you up. The left is completely just out of their mind, woke insanity. And continue to keep it up. Continue to try to walk into New York immigration courts and walk out with criminal illegals. Sit there and do like this pro-Hamas who wants to wipe out Israel and wipe out the West. Sit there and pretend that you're somehow morally superior standing with them and not with American citizens. You voted for Trump. He won all 7 swing states. He won the popular vote. Republicans won the Senate, won the House, based off these immigration issues. as the economy is always going to be number one. But beyond that, the number two issue, unfortunately for the Democrats who want to be about abortion, the number one two issue for all of Americans was the illegal invasion of our country. And I'll never forget this moment when CNN, when they just got so shocked when they realized it, because they ran their own fake news polls. And just like we say all the time with fake news polls, take them with a grain of salt. But with their own fake news poll, they found that 56% of the people that they interviewed or answered the poll that not only wanted illegal immigrants deported, they wanted 100% of them deported. You see, most of America thinks like you do. Most of America loves our country. And most of America does not agree with the radical left's desire to take away your rights so that they can have power. They do not agree with our country being invaded. And the left just refuses to grasp that. They still rely on their fake news networks, and they still rely on people like AOC and Jasmine Crockett running their mouths. I say, please keep it up. Because this has gotten to the point where the Democrats have no bench left. I mean, who do they think they're going to run in 2028? They have nobody. Absolutely no one. The ticket, whoever it is going to just be a parody of itself. And now that the DNC is going broke, and now they may have to borrow money, what are they going to do for the 2026 midterms? What are they going to do for the presidential election? I mean, there's certainly going to be rich billionaires, of course, right? The liberal elite, when they try to pretend that they're against the rich. I just think one of the funniest things I've ever seen was AOC and Bernie Sanders trying to run the Fight the Oligarchy campaign, and how badly quickly that flopped on them. Now they continue to be on the wrong side of immigration. They also continue to be on the wrong side of another big issue we bring up that they thought was going to be the women's rights, because they try to reduce women to abortion, to be drunk on the blood of the innocent. But then at the same time, the left try to take away women's rights and allow biological males who are pretending they're females to go into women's sports. And this caused a huge thing online with one of the great Olympian, Simone Biles, who she had to end up deleting her ex after she took a huge L from Riley Gaines on women's rights. See, because the Democrats are on the wrong side of every one of these. As she being Biles, she went on and she was she was calling Gaines truly sick for not wanting biological males to participate in women's sports. Okay, so these being trans women, right, biological men who then identify as female. I wonder what actual science says about that. But we all know the truth, that the biological realities are that men are bigger, stronger, and faster than women. It's just science says. And women's sports, I can't say this strong enough. Women's sports are not a consolation prize for weak beta males who can't compete with other men. That doesn't give these biological males to go into women's sports and dominate them, as we've seen over and over and over again. Just like what Riley Gaines went through with Leah Thomas, and the many other examples that we have. And so this eventually pushed what Biles eventually pushed for after reality broke out, right? Because once the left can't talk in their own little bubbles, all of a sudden they realize, they're on the wrong side of every issue. And so she pushed for a transgender category, but at that point it was too late. And what's really funny about that is this isn't the first time that they've had that opportunity, but every time that they try to push for a transgender category, none of the transgenders want to sign up, participate. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why these biological males pretend to be women only want to beat up women. We have to fight back. We have to win this fight. It starts with women standing up and refusing to compete against these biological males. It's going to take women protesting. Okay, this is the only way they're going to save their sports. People like me can do these types of segments, and men can say this is wrong. But at the end of the day, it's either women, they stand up and they fight for their sports and spaces, or women are going to lose them forever. With that, we're out of time. We'll be back again tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the CASHLOREN Show. Well, independent thinkers, we have come to the top of another hour. The rest of the stories have to go back in the stack. If you enjoyed this content, take a moment, hit the subscribe, turn on notifications. Most importantly, share a conservative message with your friends and family. We will be back Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern here on the CASHLOREN Show. We will go and we will expose and fight the fake news networks who have been getting away with lying to you for decades. Our content will always be free, but if you'd like to support more, you can do so monetarily over at locals at the CASHLOREN Show. And there's great rewards and benefits for doing so. For only about a cup of coffee a month, you will receive exclusive articles and you'll have your name at the end of the video, just like these other fine patriots have. If that sounds interesting to you, go over to locals right now for just a cup of coffee a month and help independent creators stay free, keep the lights on, and continue to expose the fake news networks. We'll see you again on the next episode. This is the CASHLOREN.